This is a coding tutorial where we are going to build a software that can automatically schedule and post tweets on Twitter or X.com. So we are going to be using Python and Tkinter library to build all the UI and the software. And also we are going to use a package that I built 2 or 3 days ago about posting on Twitter automatically. This is a package that you can just authorize and you can post automatically just using the API keys from the Twitter or X.com. So this software is going to have 2 input boxes where we put the API keys, then we authorize. And if we are authorized, we are going to show a box where we put all the tweets that we can generate from AI, or we can just paste them. And then we are going to put a schedule, like if you want to post once a day or once a week or once a minute, once a second, any schedule you want, and then just press start and it's going to automatically post for you on Twitter or X.com. You're going to be learning a lot like Python, Tkinter, UI, API, and a bunch of other things. So let's get straight into this. So here we go, I am on VS Code and I'm going to set up this project right now. So first let's go to desktop and create a new folder. So here I'll create a new folder, X schedule. So here I have the folder. I'm going to open it on VS Code, open folder, and on desktop, X scheduler. So here we go. I have my folder here. I'm going to create a new file. I'll call it main.py. And here we're going to be all the code for our software. So first, let's create and install some packages that we need. So I'm going to open terminal here, new terminal. Then we'll install first with using pip3 install. We're going to install tk for Tkinter and also my package, which is xpy API. So we are going to install both of them. So press enter and this will install both. And we are going to start with the coding. So the first thing we have to do is to import the tk or Tkinter. So from import Tkinter as a tk, I'm calling it just tk. And then we are going to use tk to build all the UI. First, let's go ahead and create a class. So class, I will call it Twitter app. And here we're going to create a constructor. So it's a function that runs as soon as you create the new instance of this class. So it's going to be init. And we'll remove this return none. Here we'll write all our first variables that we need with this class. So first we're going to create a root. So self.root equal to root. And also we are going to get the root from this class. So here we have the root. Then we have to set the title, self.title. This is going to be the title of the program, root.title. Now actually this is a function, so I'm going to call it Twitter scheduler. So let's create the function which is going to run the main method. And here underline name equal main. Then we'll create the root, which will be a tk instance, and app equal to our class that we just created, and we pass the root inside. So here we have the root, and now we have to create the main loop. So main loop, root.main loop, and here we go, we have the main loop. So let's test if anything happens with this code. So just write Python 3 run or main.py. Press enter. So we created just this simple box. And as you can see, we have the title Twitter scheduler. So now we have to more improve this box. Here we have to put the inputs for the API keys, a button, and also a box where we can put the tweets. So let's get straight into doing this. So I'm going to close it and this one. And then let's go here. Here on the constructor, I also need API instance. So I'm going to create an self.api, or I'll call it xAPI, equal to none for now. So I'll leave it none because we're going to assign this later. And here now we have to create a label. So to create a label, where we can put the input, or to ask you to put a label above the input box, so to tell the user what to put there. So we're going to create using tk.label, and here inside this label we pass the root of the window, so the main window. So we want to pass this label inside the main window. And then we put the text, and the text is going to be consumer key, because here we are going to put the consumer key. And we have to use grid. So the window is the squared, and we're going to use grid layout to manage where to put the boxes or the elements inside the window. So we're going to use grid. Inside this grid, put the raw The row is going to be row 0 because we start from 0. So the row number 1, which is 0. And the column is going to be also 0. And padding, we can put padding if we want. I'll put 10. And also padding y. So we have x-axis and y-axis. We put this label in this way. So I'll do 10 this one too. So we just created a label. We'll create an input box or an entry place. To create an entry, we create tk.entry. And here inside this entry, we'll put the root where it's going to be located. And I'm going to put this in a variable actually, which is self.consumer key, and entry. I'll call it entry. So we have the entry. And now we want to grid this. We want to place somewhere like we put the label, so we're going to use grid, and consumer or self.consumer key entry.grid. I want to put this consumer entry input just above or in the right of the label. So to do that, we just go raw 0, so we have raw number 0, and then the column is going to be raw number 1 because we want to put the raw number 0 was the label, and the number 1 is going to be the entry, the input box. So let's go with the padding. I'll go put 10, and also with the padding y is going to be 10 too. So here we created the label for the consumer key. So now I'm going to copy this because I'll do the same thing for the consumer secret, but we just have to change some. Here is going to be consumer secret. The raw is going to be raw number 1 because we want to in a second raw. And we're going to leave these as they are. And also here on the column, we'll put the raw number 1 too for the entry. So I'm going to also rename these to secret and secret. So here we go. We have put these two. So I'm going to save it and see if we did something. So I'm going to run again here on the terminal, Python 3 run.py. And I'll show you right now what we did. So here we have the Twitter scheduler. So we build only this thing. It's very, very simple. So we have an entry box where we can put the API keys, and we have the two labels. So as I was explaining you before, this is the raw number 1, and this is a raw number 2, or this is a raw 0, and this is a raw 1. And the columns were column 0, column 1. And here we go, we have two entries. So this is very, very simple. I'm going to close it. What we need to do is to put a button where we can press authenticate. Like we can press the authenticate and it's going to go through that. To create a button, you just type tk.button, and the text of this button is going to be authenticate. And also the command, which is the function that is going to happen as soon as we press the button, is going to be self.authenticate. And this is a function that we are going to build later because now we don't have it. And I'll put this button inside a variable, which I'll call self.auth button. I'm not going through a lot of the Python. If you are interested, you can find the course to learn Python in the description. But also I'll upload free videos here on YouTube on learning Python. So stay tuned and subscribe. We have self.button, auth button, and I'm going to grid it and put it just in the right of these two fields. So I'm going to use raw 2 and also column. And this time we're going to use column span, and column span will be 2. And also some padding. So if we run this again, make this a string for now and show you what we did. So also here we have the button authenticate. We just create a simple button that we can click, but for now it's doing nothing because we didn't put the function. So we'll close it. And here I'll return this to self.authenticate. I think we have to create labels for the user info. As soon as we authenticate, I'm going to show also the user infos like name, like a username, and also a description. And to do that, we are going to create labels. I'll use label, maybe that label is good enough. To do that, we'll just go ahead and create new label. So self.userinfo, I'll call it user info label. And this user info label is going to be a TK label, and the text for now will be empty because we'll update it later. And also we have to put the root here, forgot, and also here will be the root. We should not forget the root, otherwise not going to work and not going to show up on our window. So now we have the text is going to be empty, and justify, this is justify content is going to be left, so we're going to put this on left. Also let's grid this, so let's put it somewhere using grid, and our user info label dot grid, and the grid is going to be raw number 3, column spam 2, and also padding x 10 and padding y 10. Okay, so let's put a comment here. This is going to show user info. Okay, so we got them here. Just create an input for the tweets. So this is going to be the place where we'll put the tweets, we'll paste the tweets. I'll call tweet input box and self.tweetbox equal to a tk.text, and this is going to be a root, and height, this is going to be how many lines you want to show. For now, we'll put this 5, and width will be how many characters you want to have a width. I'll put 50. But before, let's put also a label for this one. So I'm not going to create a variable, just tk.label. Label will be root, and the text will be tweets. So we want to put tweets inside that, and let's grid this, just grid. And the raw is going to be, now we have raw number 3 and number 4. So this is going to be number 4. Column is going to be 0 because we want to put on the beginning of the window. And also let's put padding, so padding x, padding y. So both of them will be 10. Let's also grid this this box of the where we put the tweets. So self.tweetbox.grid, this on the row number 4, 2, and column is going to be 1 this time because column 0, we have a label, and the padding x 10, padding y. Okay, so we got the tweet box ready. Now we have just to put a scheduler. So for this, we'll use an entry where we put how many seconds you want for the schedule to run. And then we'll also put a label for this. So let's put a label first. Label, root, text, and I'll call it schedule interval in seconds. And we'll put the grid for this. So where it will be located, be row number 5, column 0, padding 10, padding y 10. Okay, now as we did before, we are going to use an entry. So let's create a new variable. So self.interval. I'll call it interval or schedule. I'll just call it schedule entry equal to tk.entry, and we'll just pass the root inside. Now let's grid this and put it somewhere. So schedule entry.grid, and the raw it will be 5, column 1, padding x going to be 10, and padding y 10. So we also put the entry for the scheduler, and we need the button so we can press OK to run the start all the program. Let's create a new button, and to create the button we create a new variable start button equal to tk.button, and text for this first we pass the root, text start the program, and command I'll leave it just a text for now, and also I'll leave this one text so we can test and see the results. We have to grid this, so self.startButton.grid, and now we have raw number 6. So we have raw number 6, and column is going to be, I'll use column spam actually, and I'll put 2, and also only padding x, which is going to be 10. So here we go, we have a little bit of code, and we are going to run and test right now what we did. So just go terminal, run python 3 main.py and press enter. So now here we go, I'll show you. Here we go, we have this window. So we built this simple window here. And as I told you before, we have the consumer key fields and the API keys, authenticate, then tweets. So here we'll put the tweets, we'll put 1 per line. So this is the first, this is the second, just like this. Now the schedule interval seconds, so we can put the seconds like 10 seconds, 1000 seconds, like you can calculate, or if you want to post once a day, calculate the seconds and just put them here and start the program, which is not going to do anything for now. So now let's go close this. We'll go ahead and create the functions. So for this one, the first one, so in the authenticate here in the command in the button, we are going to put a new function that will create self.authenticate, and we are going to create this function here. So def authenticate, and this function is going to get the self or the instance variables that we created for this class. And what we're gonna do, so first we are going to get the API keys, and then we are going to check first if they are not empty or they exist or not. And then we are going to create the API and assign the API using the package that I have. So we're going to assign this variable with the API, and then we are going to use the authenticate method from the API and return the information for the user. So let's go straight into this. So first, let's get the API keys. So we have consumer key, create a new variable consumer key equal to self.consumerEntry.get from the entry that we created before, and also consumer secret equal to self.consumerSecret.get. So we got both of them. Now we'll check if are empty or not. So if not, consumer if not consumer key or not consumer secret, then what we'll do, we'll show an error, and to show an error we'll show in a message box, which I'm going to import it from Tkinter. So import from Tkinter, import message box, and also we need simple dialog, which we're gonna need later. So for now, let's go back, message box dot show error, and the type of the message box is going to be error, and the message is going to be please put the API keys. So here we create it, and also return empty. Now if we have the API keys, we're going to create the API. So self.api or x API equal to, first let's import my package. So from x by API import x API, and then let's go ahead and create the API x API. Inside we need to put the consumer key, which will be the consumer key that we have here. So consumer key and consumer secret. So we got both of them. Now we created the API and we need to authorize. So self.x API dot authorize. So now we can authorize in Twitter. And to authorize is going to go in a link, and a user have to click the link and get a copy of the pin and then paste the pin inside. After the authorization, we'll get the user info. So user info will be equal to self.x API dot get user info. So we get the user infos and we save them in a variable. Then if we have user info, so if it's not empty, we are going to configure the info label that we got here. So we created for the user, which is this one, user info label. So self.userinfolabel.config, and inside this config we have to put the text, and the text will be an f string. So f string is a string that we can modify and put variables inside. So the name, here I'll put the variable user info and we'll get the name. Then we go to new line and we'll get the username, and it will get the same way, user info username, then new line again, and now we'll get the description, and again user info in square brackets we get the description. We did the configuration for this label, so we put the name, username and description. If we don't have the infos, we're going to show a message box. So message box dot show error, and this error is going to be error, and the message will be failed to authenticate. So here we go, we'll build the authentication. I think this is all we need for this function, and we can test it out right now. We can run python3 main.py, and we have an error, which is, did you mean authenticate? Twitter app object has no attribute self authenticate. Did you mean authenticate? Authenticate. I missed here a typo, so authenticate. So save it. Now let's go ahead again, and here we go. So we have a Twitter schedule program, and what will I do? I'll go to my Twitter developer portal. You have to go to search on Google for Developer X portal, and here is Developer X platform. Make sure you're logged in here and click and go to developer portal, and here you have to create a new app. It shows you to create a new project, also a new app. I already have a new app that I created before, project app, and I'll just click on keys and tokens, and I'll click on regenerate. So yes, regenerate consumer keys, and here I have my API keys and API secret. So I'll copy API key, I'll go to my program and I paste it, and also I'll copy the API secret and I'll paste it here. So then after we do this, we go back to VS Code, and as you can see here, as soon as I click authenticate, in the terminal will show me, please go to this link and authorize. So here is the link. I have to click on here and open, and then it will redirect me to Twitter, authorize app, and I'll copy this pin. So then I'll copy this pin and I go here and paste the pin. As soon as I press enter and I paste the pin, here in my program, here is my program, will show you my name and the username and also the description of my profile. So this is the username and this is coming from Twitter. As you can see, it's working perfect. So we did authenticate perfect with our application. So I'm going to close this, and now we have to get the tweets and post them. So now we have to create the main function, which is going to start the application. So here, instead of command that I put a string, we have put self.start, and I'll create this function start. Make sure to don't miss the indentation here on Python. So start, and this is going to get self from the instance variables. And here on this function, what we'll do, we'll get the interval first. So how many times you want to post a tweet. So self.interval or schedule entry dot get. So we'll get the seconds. If not, we'll check first if not self.schedule entry, or actually let's create a new variable. So interval. So I will check if we put numbers. So we need seconds, and user have to put a number for the seconds. So let's check if interval dot is digit. If not, is digit. So we're going to show message box, show error, and the error, I'll put a message, please put number of interval in seconds, and it will return nothing. Then we'll create another error. So I'll copy this and paste it here, and let's get the seconds. So seconds will equal to interval, and interval we're going to convert in an int. So this is going to be an integer, and if seconds smaller or equal to 0, which means that you have to put a bigger number than 0. So please put a number greater than 0 for seconds. So also we check the seconds. Also we are going to check for tweets. So we'll get the tweets from the box of tweets and check if it's not empty. So let's do the same thing. I'll copy this and I'll paste it here, and I'll call tweets. And to get tweets, we'll use self.tweetsEntry or tweetbox.get, and we get this number 1.0, and we'll go until the end. So tk.end from line 1 to the end, and we'll strip this string because we want one per line, and also we want to split, and the splitter is going to be a new line. So for each new line we'll have one tweet, and here we have the tweets. So if not tweets, we'll show error, there is no tweets to schedule. So there's no tweets to schedule if the tweets box is empty. We did all the checks that we need. I think that's all we need. And then we just have to schedule and start the threads. We're going to use threading for the posting. And also we're going to run the function from the API to post. First, let's import threading. Because if we don't use threading, it's going to pause all our application and is going to show an error. So let's create a new thread, self.schedule thread equal to threading.thread, and this thread is going to have a target, which is the function that we want to run, schedule, which I will create later this function because for now I don't have it. And args are going to be for this function tweets, and also interval, not interval but seconds. And self.schedule thread.start. So we're going to start this thread. Okay. So as soon as we press the button, we are checking everything. If everything is okay, we create a new thread. A thread basically is it's a new job, also it's a new process that we create inside the application. And this process is going to go to this function, which I'm going to create right now, and then we'll start this function. So now let's go ahead and create the final function and the last one, which is going to be the def schedule function, which will get the self, and also it needs tweets and also seconds. Inside here, while we have tweets, so we're going to check if we have tweets. While we're having tweets, we're going to loop through them, and a tweet equal to tweet.pop. So from these tweets, we are going to get tweet randomly a tweet from that. And as soon as we get, we also remove it from the list. So we get the tweet, and here we have a tweet using pop function. And then we are going to create a response from the API. We're going to use my package again, response equal to tweet self.xAPI.post tweet, and we're going to put the tweet inside. So if we have a response from the API, then I'll print a message that I'll use f string actually, because I can also put the variable of a tweet inside. So tweet posted, also put the tweet, or else we'll print failed to post tweet, and we'll put the tweet variable. Then after, if we get the good response, then we have to wait. So to wait, we will use time.sleep, but we have to also import, and to use the, let's import first. So import time, and then here time.sleep, and here we put the seconds. So how many seconds we want to sleep. And here we have the seconds. So we want to sleep for that much seconds that the user put. And then after that, after finishing all this loop, we want to print finished posting all tweets. Okay, so here we go. I think we got everything done. And also we have the main function which runs the whole application. And we create the root here. We create the app, we put a root inside the app, and we'll loop through this app. So let's test all of that again. Here we go in a terminal, Python 3 run main.py actually. No errors, which is good. Here we have our application. I'll go to the browser and copy my API keys again, paste them here, API keys again, paste. Press authenticate, and here on the terminal, we'll show you the link. Copy the link, open it, authorize, copy this pin. So now here I'll show you both apps. So here in terminal, as soon as I paste the pin, we'll show you my info. In the program, we'll show the account info. So press enter, and we'll show the infos. Here the program. Now let's put the tweets. So this is the first tweet from the tutorial, and also this is the second tweet from the tutorial. Okay, so you got 2 tweets, and also schedule interval in seconds. I'll put 10 seconds, and I'll press start the program. Please put a number greater than 0. Okay, so I think we got an error. So we have 10 here, but it shows us please put a number greater than 0. Okay, let's see what the error is. Actually, the error is because I put if not. If it's smaller, we want to show the error. In this case, we are not smaller, so we are going to do that again. Okay, so we stop the application, we run Python main again. We press authenticate. I'll show you. We put the API keys, secret, and paste, authenticate, go to link, open it, authorize, copy pin, go back, paste. Then here we have on my program, we have information. So this is the first tweet from the tutorial, and also we have the second tweet. Okay, now we want to put a number 10. So now I'm going to press start the program. So as soon as I press start, shows you tweet posted successfully, and now it's going to wait for 10 seconds, and after 10 seconds I'm not doing anything, it'll show you the second tweet. So tweet posted successfully. So we have the second tweet, and after it's finished, we'll show you that there's no more tweets. Hopefully it's going to show that. So let's see. Okay, finished posting all tweets, as you can see. Now let's confirm if it really posted the tweets or not. So let's go to my Twitter account here on x.com. This is my profile, and I'm going to refresh. And here we go. We have, this is the first tweet from the tutorial. This is a second tweet from the tutorial. And I'm going to delete both of them because I don't need to show them here. And here we go. So this was our program that we just created. It was a very simple one, very simple. There's a lot of space for updates, for improvements. We can just don't make it through interactive with the terminal. We can do all the program at once. We can also do this on the web too. There's a bunch of things that we can do. So just let me know in the comments what you want to see, because I don't understand what you want to see from me, what tutorials you want to see, what you're interested in, and I'll do them for you. So this was very simple. We created UI, we created using Python and Tkinter, also the package, the API from the X with my package that I created before. And I hope you like it. So see you in the next one. Peace.